Hey everybody, welcome to week 2 of the course here. And so last week there was an issue with the textbook, and then I think a couple of you had some issues even after that getting the textbook to work. Sometimes this is actually the first time we had the issue with the textbook link not working, but sometimes students their account's not set up right, or there's something, and it could end up being the browser or something on your computer or something at the vital source end. So by the time you've seen this, make an assumption here it's all been straightened out, and we're moving into week 2. So I do have my scenery up here. Before I get into the course, though, I just want to remind everybody about a couple of things. All of you decided to do your school, pursue a degree of some sort, and so that was a decision you made to do. And so you need to be determined and make sure you decide it's worth starting what you finished. And I say that because even though we have issue with the textbook last week, the discussion was not an issue because it was not related to the textbook. And when I did this video Saturday morning, it looked like only about half of you actually, got into the discussions Wednesday. So, and I know things happen, and but there's also the discipline part. I got this little saying I like here. Choosing between what you want now and what you want most. You want to do the school, you want, and all that comes with it. And so, I just, throw that in there. And the other thing, if you're going to be with me probably for the next few years in some of your classes, I harp about making school part of your life. Um, it's similar to people who are runners, and I use a lot of running analogies, but it's a lifestyle. There's no finish line, and for school you need to think that way. Yes, there is a finish line, you get the diploma, but that is, be it 2, 3, 4 years down the road. In the meanwhile, you need to change the way you live, and make school part of every day. Just like those of you that are coffee drinkers, you don't go 2, 3, 4 days without doing your coffee. It's a daily thing. If you've got kids or even grandkids, it's pretty much everyday thing. So you need to get into the habit of making school regular, and that way you'll have less stress because you're not playing catch up. You'll actually learn the material. Part of getting a degree is learning the material. When you go for a job interview down the road, employers expect you to know what you got degrees about. There's a lot of things that are interrelated in these different courses, and so forth. So that's why it's important to stay focused. Don't let the distractions get you, and we'll move on from there. So, okay, so week 1, I did some adjustments. I sent out a couple emails. The week 1 assignment, the homework assignment, there was 3 cases in there, and I told everybody just do the first 2 cases and get that in by the end of week 2. Discussion should have been on time because there was no issue there. And as we go into week 2 here, if you're watching, let me see, let me get the homework assignment right here. So if you're watching this, the homework assignment has 6 questions in there. So what I'm going to tell you is you can pick 4 of these 6 since you're doing a little catch up from week 1, and you're watching the video here. I'm not going to send an email out or anything because I kind of expect people to watch these videos. It's not mandatory, but I mentioned last week, 9 out of 10 students generally watch them and like them and so forth. So anyway, so you can do 4 of the 6. Just make sure you number which one you're doing in your Word document, and so that'll work there. All right, upcoming week. There's week 2, there's 4 chapters. Well, let me back up. Week 1 discussion, those of you that were in there, very good. So, I mean, that's, you get a good paragraph of the topic, and then we do reply, another couple lines. Don't be, one-liners don't work. You're supposed to contribute to it and add anything you might want to add, or whatever the case is. So, but anyway, into week 2 here, you got 4 chapters. First chapter, chapter 5 has to do with motivation. And again, this is organizational behavior. So how do you motivate people, different techniques, ways, and how does it impact, people? Job design and performance. Again, when you go work anywhere, there is a job, a particular job you're going to do. Regardless of what industry is, somewhere there is supposed to be a written job description that tells you how to do that job. And I always tell a story in this class about back in my domino years. I had a new employee, and one of the things, later in the evening, we get dishes done. So one of the things, so I told the new employee, hey, go knock out some dishes. Um, so now back when I was doing it, we had pan pizzas, so there's the pans. I don't know if you're familiar with pan pizzas, but they have a coating on them that gets baked in, and that's part of the flavor and everything like that. So these pans are black, they got this black coating on them. So anyway, I didn't see the driver for quite a while, probably half hour or so, and went back there to the kitchen, and there he is cleaning one of those pans. He was still working on the first one, and he had it pretty much all silver. He had scrubbed all the bake off of it. And so, lesson learned even for me, it was like, okay, you need to be specific instructions. You need to have specific ways to do things. And so that's part of the job design. So depending on what you're doing, and you may find the job design is missing a step. So again, but that's part of the organization, the HR world, making sure people do things in the right steps. When I was in the Army, everything was a step by step. There was basically no way you could screw it up because everything was right down to how you button a button. And that's part of job descriptions. Evaluations, rewards, influences, and this will tie in a little bit to managing misbehavior. One of the things is doing evaluations. Some people, and there's also what they call write-ups. A lot of people call them write-ups, or they could be called counseling, performance, performance, letting people know where they stand. You may have to give somebody a verbal saying, hey, you can't do that, but the second time on, even if it's one of your buddies, you need to put it in writing that this is this is the way it's supposed to be done, not that way, policy, and always include. You probably won't see this in here, but one of the things I always did in the last sentence is, further, misconduct or whatever term you want to use can result in termination of employment. So 2, 3, 4 write-ups down the road or counseling sessions down the road, it should not be a surprise to a person lose their job. A person should never be surprised that they got fired. And if they are, then somebody's doing something wrong at the manager side. And that was one of the things, back in my domino years, I had people, I fired quite a lot of people, but they always knew it was going to happen. I had several, counseling sessions, doing reviews and say, hey, this is how you're supposed to do this. This is when you're supposed to do that. And, just about all of them apologized to me because I had to fire them. And, but again, there's just certain ways you do things or should do things so that there's none of this, us and them environment. And I know that's kind of difficult in some organizations, but that's the way it's supposed to be. So, okay, so those are the 4 chapters. Again, you got discussion this week. This week's discussion is usually pretty interesting because it has to do with social media. So we'll see what people's opinions are on there. And the homework, just again, so if you're watching this video, there are 6 questions. You can do 4 of them that way. And then on week 1, you're just doing 2 out of the 3. So I think that should, balance out pretty good for you there. And what else we got? And then you got, of course, quiz. And the quizzes have either 10 or 20 questions in them each week. And so by the end of week 2, we should be all caught up. Let me see. And that should do it. All right. So I'll let you go. I'll do my test question here. If you didn't watch last week, I do test questions to see if people are actually watching the video. If you don't mention the test question, what's going on in the test question in your reply in the discussion, then I just assume you actually didn't watch the video. You just say you did. So, so here you go. Let me know what's going on here. If you missed the first week, I got 2 grandkids, a 5-year-old and a 1 year. He's almost 1, so he'll be 1 next month. So, but let me know what was going on here. And with that, I'll let you all go, and you can have a great week. I hope everybody had a good holiday weekend and everything. And always you can get in touch with me through the inbox system, the email system. You can text or call me. I'm 7 days a week, so you don't have to wait till a certain day or anything like that. So, all right. Everybody have a great week and take care. Bye.